Hey guys, I'm Kristen with Decorators Warehouse, here today to walk you through a beautiful designer Christmas tree. We're gonna break this down and make it so simple that even you can follow. So come along and let's get started. We're gonna go right into our topper. I love using a 4-step process because it's simple to replicate at home and you can do it for any style. So the topper is always the first thing that I start with. And let's talk about what goes into a topper. So when we do toppers on our trees, we generally use, you might hear me call them picks, you might hear me call them sprays. It's basically the same thing. So we're using a mix of different picks. And what we're looking for is we want different textures and different colors. So for this specific topper, I love this one. It's a nice greenery foliage with pine cones. It's got a magnolia leaf. We're gonna use that one. You also want height. So you want different colors, different textures, and height. So if you notice, none of these are real compact or small. They're all gonna give us that height. I've got a beautiful berry that's kind of like a butternut or cognac color. This one's nice too because it opens up quite a bit. And then I've got a blue piece too. So we're going for a real earthy, natural woodland palette here. So I'm gonna jump on the ladder and we'll get started. So I'm gonna place my greenery stem first because it's the bulkiest piece. Let's talk about quantity for a second. So I have the 4 different styles that I'm using in this topper. I'm gonna use 3 pieces of each. If you like a fuller topper, one that really comes out, we use a lot of full toppers in our store. Usually our breakdown is anywhere from 25 to 35 sprays. But for this specific one, I'm gonna use 4 styles and I'm gonna use 3 pieces of each. This is a 9-foot tree, so if you have a bigger tree, you're gonna wanna scale that up and maybe do 7 of each style. If you have a narrower tree, 3 is still probably a good number, even if it's a 7.5-foot tree, because it gives you the symmetry all the way around. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna run this stem kind of along the pole, and then I'm gonna open these up. So I'll have one kind of here in the front, one a little more in the back, and then one on this side. And I'm just gonna push that in quite a bit, and then I can open it up. All right, now I'm gonna come in with these butternut berries and I'm gonna place them right in between the 3 magnolia leaves that are already up there. See how I'm kind of opening them up too to kind of get this cascading look. All right, now I'm coming in with my 3rd style. I love this one because it's real nice and airy. My berry's more clumpy and I've got that great big beautiful greenery, so this will be a perfect way to lighten that up. All right, and then the last one I'm gonna place is this beautiful blueberry. And again, I'm just kind of placing it in between the ones that are already placed. If you like a fuller topper, I would recommend 5 to 7 pieces of each. Okay, step 1 is complete. I love the way the topper looks. And now I'm gonna show you kind of how to transition from step 1 into step 2, which is our ribbon. If you know me, you know that I adore ribbon, and y'all, this ribbon does not disappoint. So we're going with kind of like a Ralph Lauren Lodge aesthetic here. So we've got this beautiful plaid paired with this like cognac leather, which is gonna be an accent to the ribbon. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I am gonna create a very simple 2-loop bow that I'm gonna place kind of right here at the base of my topper, and then that'll carry the ribbon into the body of the tree. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna pinch it. So essentially I'm just creating a little tail, and then I'm gonna go right into a loop, okay? And if you've never done this before, it's super simple. It's basically like I'm folding the ribbon in half. I've got my pinch in one finger and I've got this finger ready to go. So I'm just gonna kind of cinch it there and then twist. So what I'm doing is I'm bringing that pretty side, well on this one they're the same, but what I'm doing is I'm bringing the front forward. Again, I'm pinching and I am twisting. So there's my nice little 2-loop bow. I'm gonna place it right here at the base. So this is doing a couple things. The main one is it's concealing the stems from the tree topper, and then it's giving me a starting point to do my ribbon. So I'm gonna use like the actual branches of the tree And I'm opening it up, and I'm going to use those to twist this in. That's going to hold my ribbon in place. So I don't need any wire for this. I can just use the greenery itself. Now, if you have a live tree, floral wire would be a really great thing to use there. And then I just want to fluff these out. And then we're going to go right into a loop. So when I work with ribbon, I'm working in series of loops and tails, which you'll see more of in just a second. So this is a nice quality wired ribbon. So what I can actually do is run my hand down. See, I'm like creating a billow coming out of this little 2-loop bow. So I'm basically just billowing it here. I'm going to come down a couple branches. And then for this particular tree, I'm going to go back into the branches, maybe like half of the row. And then I'll twist that in to hold it in place. And now I'm going to start a second loop, but instead of going directly under it, I'm going to pull it to the side and do the same thing. I can pull that in just a little. And now I'm going to cut a tail. So how I do that is I fold it in half, come in with my scissors, and I'm going to make a diagonal cut. Okay, now we're going to have some fun. I want to show you how we can come in with a second ribbon or an accent ribbon and do some kind of unique things that's going to take this to a whole nother level. A lot of times I save my accent ribbon to the end and then I kind of come in and use it to fill holes. But this time I really want these to work together, so I'm going to do a few things where I kind of layer it into the ribbon we've already placed. All right, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to start with a tail, and I'm going to make a loop. So again, kind of just a fold here, and then a twist. Now I can use loops like this that have tails and layer it in. So it looks like I have a really fancy and unique bow, when in all reality, I'm just using super simple loops that everyone can do. So I'm going to use the same greenery that's already tying this one in. I'm going to open it back up, and I'm going to lay that right on top. Instead of going with the full loop, I'm just going to come in and do a small loop here and then cut a tail. And then since it's wired, I can kind of fold it in there and open it in a way that it holds its shape. As you get comfortable with ribbon, this is where you can really explore and play and try new techniques. But I love doing this. It just creates interest and brings pops of colors into different parts of your tree. So I'm going to keep going. We're going to keep working in series of loops and tails, and I'll show you some different ways to do that now. So we've got our first little continuation of ribbon. Basically, we're zigzagging through the tree. So we want it to look very organic and to flow. So if I'm over there, my next series is going to start kind of more in this range. So boom, boom, and then maybe in here. So I'm just kind of doing that zigzag motion through the tree. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold and then make a loop again and twist. So I'll place this in, and then that's going to make my next billow. Since I'm there, I'm going to go right here, twist that in. See, and I can kind of place my tail how I like it. And then go right into a billow. And the fun thing about these like loops and billows is you can put like a smaller loop wherever you want. Like this doesn't always have to be at the top. It can be at the bottom of a continuation. It can be in the middle of a continuation. But that's kind of the technique. We're just working in that series of both loops, tails, and then these bigger billows. All right, and I'm going to pull this to the side, and I'm going to come down a couple more rows and then just tie that in right there. And then coming in with my scissors, I'm going to fold this and do a diagonal cut. Since I'm there and there, I probably want my next one to be kind of right here in the front. And for this one, I think I'm going to go back to that little 2-loop bow. So I'll do a tail, a loop, and a loop. I don't have a ton left on this roll, so this will be perfect. Just kind of place this one here, and then I'll get one nice billow out of this. All right, I want to take a second and talk about quantity of ribbon because this is one of our most asked questions, and it doesn't have to be hard either. So for a 7.5 foot tree, we usually use 2 to 3 10-yard rolls, so 20 to 30 yards. If you're using 5-yard rolls, of course you're going to double it, so that would be 4 to 6 rolls. For a 9-foot tree, we're going to use 3 to 4 10-yard rolls of your main ribbon. And then for a 12-foot, we're going to use 5 to 6. Again, if it's a 5-yard, you're going to double it. This one is a 5-yard. And then also I have my accent ribbon. When I'm putting an accent in, I usually just grab a roll or two, maybe 2 rolls if it's a bigger tree. If you have a 7.5 foot, you could probably get away with 1. All of my plaid ribbons placed, so now I'm going to come back in with my cognac accent. This is a 1 10-yard roll. And I am going to just place a little loop right here in the center where I already have kind of this 2 billow continuation. And I can do it just right on top. So just tuck it in there, wrap that branch around. I can pull this. I like making it look kind of like one piece with the tail going this way, and then we'll pull this ribbon this way. So it's not directly on top, it's kind of open. And then I will cut a tail here. So it's basically just bringing color into this area of the tree. And I think I'll do another one kind of right in this area. So again, tail, a loop. I'll place it just right on top. And I'm going in the opposite direction. My ribbon's placed and I love the way it's looking. So those are my first 2 steps. Now I'm gonna go into, normally I would do my florals and all my sprays, but I'm gonna kind of reverse the order here. This woodland design has a lot of like bigger pieces. So right now is a great foundation, so I can see where like my holes are to place the bigger pieces. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. If you love this design, this is actually our winter woodland bundle. So what they are is they're packages. All of the decor that you see, the flowers, ribbons, sprays, ornaments, it's all included. Of course, you're watching the video now, so you kind of know how to put it together, and then we send you those items, and you have everything you need to decorate for the holidays. Now, it doesn't come with the tree, it just comes with the trim, but it's a perfect package. If you like individual items, you can purchase the individual items as well as decoratorswarehouse.com. So some of the bigger items on this design, I have these giant bells. I am a huge fan of bells, and I think these are darling. So these are gonna fill in some big holes, and then aren't these so cute? I love these skis. So I have a few sets of these too. So I'm gonna kind of zigzag these through the tree as well. And I will show you how we do that now. So they come, kind of like this. I think they look really cute when they're crossed, kind of more like that. So I'm gonna do this, and then I'll just find a little pocket here to tuck them into. And what I can do is I'll use the greenery itself to wrap it into a few different places. You might have to push it into the tree a little bit. And then I can use this as well to tuck inside the branches. I've got another one kind of down here around the base. So not gonna lie, you might have to play with that and maneuver it a little bit, but use the greenery to help support it. And then another thing, I could use floral wire to kind of get that in there as well. It is a little challenging, but the greenery seemed to work. Floral wire would give it a little bit of extra support. So since that one's here, I'm gonna go ahead and come in with another one more like in this top area. All right, while I'm placing all my big pieces, I'm gonna go ahead and place shatterproof. I've got green and blue. These are awesome fillers. They're gonna go deeper into the tree. And then I also have these really pretty green velvet. So I have a few other specialized ornaments, but I'm gonna hold those to the end, and that'll be like the very last thing that I do. So with the shatterproof, I'll go one color at a time, kind of zigzag through the tree, work them a little bit deeper into these pockets. Okay, now that my bigger ornaments are placed, I'm gonna go into my floral and spray layer. I switch things up a little bit because usually I do that before my ornaments, but because this is a more rustic design, I'm using a lot more sprays and a little bit less floral than normal. I just have one flower style, so I'm gonna go ahead and place these next. I do like to kind of cap my tree topper with the floral, so I'm gonna jump up there and put that kind of right at the base. And then I'll use that as a starting point and I'll kind of zigzag through the tree. And then a good number of pieces whenever you're creating your design is use your tree size as the multiplier. So what I mean by that is this is a 9-foot tree. I have about 5 stem styles, 1 flower and 4 sprays, and I'm gonna use 9 pieces of each of those stems. If my tree was 7.5 foot, then I would use 7 pieces of each of those styles. And that's kind of a good base for a mid-sized tree. If you have a really full tree or you're going all the way around, you could use that as your starting point and expand from there. So instead of 9, I might use 12 or even 15, depending on how full I like my tree. But for this one, it's mid-size and a pretty good amount of coverage. I'll be using 9s of this flower. The next thing I'm gonna do is jump into my sprays. Now I have the same 4 styles that I used in my topper that I'm gonna work through the body. And I'm calling them fillers here because that's literally what we're doing. We're filling in gaps at this point. This creates the texture and it's what gives your tree just that dimension and airiness. You've seen me talk about clusters if you've watched our videos before. And for this tree, I'm not using a lot of florals, but definitely more sprays. So I'm gonna be pairing this butternut berry with this beautiful magnolia stem. And I just want to marry the two together. So I'm going to lay them on top of each other. You can pull some of the greenery forward just so it looks like one piece. And then I'll just insert them along the branches wherever I have holes, zigzagging through the tree. All right, the last thing that I'm gonna do is place my more specialized ornaments. So these are smaller balls. I have a few different shapes, so like some of these onions. These are gonna go like a little bit farther out on the branches. I use my big shatterproof to fill holes. Now I wanna hold these close to the branch on the outer edges. I'm gonna go ahead and place these as well, one style at a time, zigzagging through the tree. All right, guys, well, there you have it. We have a beautiful rustic woodland tree. I'm so happy you joined us today. Be sure to hit subscribe and stay tuned for more Christmas content. And be sure to check out the caption for all of the details on the items used in this video. And we're also at decoratorswarehouse.com. Happy decorating!